Hey guys, what's up? I'm Farah and welcome back to PopTok with Farah. Along with me is my new co-host, the wonderful, the beautiful, the amazing Isha. Please give her a warm welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Isha. Wow, that was the nicest welcome I could have ever gotten from anyone. Thank you so much for bringing me on, Farah.
We're so excited. I am excited. I get to have my best friend work along with me. I mean, what could be better than that?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Oh, wait, let's add that to the list. All the wonderful segments that we're going to be talking about.
True. And starting off, we are going to be talking about something interesting that we found throughout the week. Let's start off with you, Isha. What is something that you found absolutely interesting?
I wouldn't say this is interesting as much as it is appalling. But, this week, a lot of entertainment news has been going crazy. And I magically found out that Tristan Thompson and Khloe Kardashian are now back together.
What?
So I was very intrigued by that. Yeah. She yesterday just posted a picture on Instagram talking about how, nothing can separate us. I'm glad that you're finally this person that you promised me to be and all of that. And I was very interested in that.
Isn't he the guy that hooked up with Jordan Woods?
Yep.
That same guy.
Yep.
And she's back with him.
Yep.
I have no words to say except for, wow, Khloe. I mean, maybe the third time will be the charm. Hopefully there won't be a third time.
Yeah, let's hope. What about you?
So for me, I've got to say this. You're actually a queen with great genetics when your daughter wins a Grammy. Your 9-year-old daughter wins a Grammy. So I found out that Blue Ivy, Beyonce's daughter, just won her very first Grammy Award at the age of 9. They actually announced it on TMZ that she won for Best Music Video Awards. And that's her very first Grammy. I mean, what can get better than that?
I mean, then there's us 20-something-year-olds who are nowhere. You go, Blue Ivy.
Literally, but hopefully we will be somewhere at one point. Fingers crossed with that, right?
Hopefully.
So speaking of queens, let's talk about the royals.
Oh my God, where do I begin? What were your thoughts about all of that?
Okay, so last week when we saw the whole Oprah, Meghan, and Prince, is it Harry or is it Prince Harry?
It's Harry.
It's Harry. So we can no longer use his title.
No.
Well, that just sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the whole Oprah, Meghan, and Harry interview, I mean, that literally blew my mind. I saw it twice. I'm actually hoping to see it for a third time again because everything blew my mind, especially Oprah's interview skills. I've got to say, her interview skills, like, how do I get to that level?
I feel you. My personal opinion, I don't think I was very surprised at anything she said because let's face it, we're brown. This stuff happens all the time in our culture. And I mean, that family is kind of created a lot of those things in our culture as well. So, I mean, I'm not too shocked. It's just really unfortunate that those things are happening in this time of day. And I just need to give a special shout out to Harry for being the most amazing, supportive and loving husband that he actually prioritized his family and his wife's mental health over some title that he is probably never going to get because there's way too many people in line above him.
I mean, at the same time, if you do think about it, though, God forbid this happens. But say, for example, Meghan and Harry split. He can possibly go back to the royals and claim his title back. There's a possibility. I think there might be a possibility. At least that's what I'm thinking.
I feel, though, after this interview, they've burned all their bridges, which brings me to this one really important question. I mean, I support Harry and Meghan all the way with what they went through, but what was the point of this interview, to be honest? You know how they were so careful about their wording? Oh, the Queen and Prince Philip never did anything. The Queen was always very nice to me. But then on the other hand, you're talking crap about that whole family. So if you truly are not trying to paint them in a bad light, if you truly love and care about them, why are you showing us how terrible they were to you? You know what I mean?
It's true. And I think this goes back to what their goal is in the future, if you think about it, because they have signed, I believe, a contract with Netflix as well as Spotify. So this might be going back to their life. It could be a completely different aspect, but this is what I'm thinking. They'll be bringing like their own life experience towards that. So having like a little inside scoop into something bigger is just a way of showing like everything's not a fairy tale. It's not what it seems like. But even with fairy tales, you had Cinderella where she was treated like, no, wait, I take that back.
They make you think that you marry a prince and your life turns into a fairy tale, but real life is very far from that.
Exactly. But there is one thing about Harry that I realized after this interview. If a man is not willing to leave his family and leave his title for you, I don't want to be with that guy. It has really, like, I have high standards to begin with. You know this.
Harry has set the bar extremely high.
Has.
And I just feel like there's no one that can live up to that.
No one at all. Like, guarantee. You can tell me a million people will, but guaranteed they won't. Like, oh, I'll leave my family for you. Show it. Do it. It's like that TikTok video. Then do it. I'm waiting for you. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, like, going back to what you mentioned about us being brown and how this is something that we do see, I actually was thinking about this all week. And it's true because I was having a discussion with my parents. And not too long ago when Meghan was pregnant too, this is between families. She actually had mentioned that, like, she was a bit worried about the child that would be born because we don't know how their life would be. The royals are known to be racist, and having someone in the family who is dark skinned could cause trouble for him in the long run because the royals may not accept him. And I mean, this was an eye opener because this is what really happened. And if a lot of people are outraged by this comment, but I mean, like, if something like this can happen in our own household, like, it can happen in the royals too. It's just a matter of fact of how they show it and how they don't. And bringing back the whole Indian culture thing, as a person who's been watching a lot of Bollywood dramas over this pandemic, you literally see how it is in a rich family's house. And literally, like, you've got your villain aunts, you've got your villain mother-in-laws or your villain sister-in-laws, someone there that'll treat you like trash. You just have to suck up to it and live it and try to please them as they are. But you know what amazed me was the fact that Meghan actually stood up for herself, and both her and Harry left rather than just sticking around and tolerating what they have been claiming so far.
And I don't know if you've been hearing this going across the grapevine, but apparently when Kate was pregnant with her third child, Prince William apparently had an affair with her best friend.
I heard about that.
And this has been going all over TikTok. And I don't know, I do not want to confirm or deny how true this is because I don't know. So let's just say alleged affair. Mm-hmm. And we did not hear about that at all. And that's what people are saying, that the institution completely squashed that news because it makes him look bad. However, exactly. I'm just curious, if it was Kate having an affair with William's best friend, would they have protected her the same way? So it just takes me back to this whole notion of sexism and, I mean, racism, sadly, and just, you know, we're in 2021 and this is how backwards people are.
I know. And you know what? Going back to the sexism point, what if Kate was their daughter, not Prince William? Would they have protected her if she had an affair too?
Yeah,
and that,
of course, they would have. So, I mean, they're clean, right?
Because especially that, and also just goes back to, like, blood is thicker than water in this case scenario, because it's like you will protect your own family, which is great and which is how it should be. You will protect your own family unless if it's something related to murder, they shouldn't be protected.
And that's the other thing. All those tabloids where you read these things about Meghan, you don't hear anything bad written about Harry. It's all just stuff about Meghan. Meghan's doing this to Kate. Meghan's doing this to the family. Meghan's doing this. Nowhere does it say Harry supports or nothing. And it's so incredible because a couple months ago, I watched a documentary about Diana in her own words, which was an excerpt of interviews Princess Diana did. And, you know, she was painting a picture of, like, her life and how unhappy she was. And you see at her funeral, you see, like, 10-year-old Harry and 12-year-old William carrying her casket, like young prepubescent boys going through such a trauma like that. And I remember, and this is way before I even heard about this Harry Meghan interview. I said to myself, I'm like, this is exactly why Harry left the royal family. Because I remember when they first separated from the royals, I was like, you know, I feel like this is a little extreme. Why are they doing that? I had the same questions that everyone else did. You know, I wonder what it is. But after watching Princess Diana's interviews, I was just like, this is exactly why Harry left, because this is exactly what they were doing to his wife. And he just didn't want to go through that. Like, think about it. That poor little boy. Like, forget the man that you see, the prince that you see. At the end of the day, he was a little boy who lost his mom because people just couldn't keep out of her life. And he just didn't want that to be repeated again with his wife. What is so wrong about that? Wouldn't any man in his position have made that decision? You know?
Exactly. And he even said he doesn't want history to repeat itself.
Yeah.
And I mean, just, oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps right now. But just thinking about him, like a little 10-year-old boy, when I haven't watched the documentary, but I'm just imagining the 10-year-old boy, and I didn't watch anything related to her funeral too. I have to say that and point it out, but just imagining a 10-year-old boy with chubby cheeks. I mean, like, I've seen pictures of him when he was a kid. So just seeing that little boy and losing his mother at such a young age, and I know like how much it can affect someone, it's traumatizing. And he probably never got help for it itself too. And then that led him to later on being not really an outcast, but he might have felt like an outcast towards the royal family, because if you see it, like, William always followed the rules, but Harry, on the other hand, there was that whole scandal in Vegas that happened. Remember, like, there were photos and pictures of him butt naked and like partying with other people. I don't know if you remember this, but there was that. And then after that, he also dated Rihanna. So he was never like following the rules to begin with. And I feel like he probably felt like that an outcast at that point too with the family. So although he loves his family, it must have been a bit easier leaving them behind as well in that case. And like, the most important person to him is gone. His mom, she's not there. Like, hopefully she is watching over him, and hopefully she is still protecting him, because I do believe there are angels, and I do believe that like she is an angel who is hopefully watching over him and protecting him and his wife and his family at all costs. Because it's like, looking at how things are going now, it's scary with the fact that there could be a possibility that, God forbid, but something could happen, even with the amount of security. I mean, like, President JFK, he got shot while he was in front of a huge public, an immense amount of security. So I mean, like, this is scary just to think about too.
I completely agree. And on that topic, I mean, what do you think about the whole, my brother and my family members are blinded, or what did he say? They're blindfolded? They're trapped. Yes, they're trapped.
Okay, I have got to say, I actually laughed when he said he was trapped. It's bad to say this, but I laughed because he did not realize, I mean, guaranteed he would not realize that he's trapped unless someone opens up his eyes. And when Oprah pointed it out and like cornered him in that fact, I was like, thank you, Oprah, for doing this as a man of privilege with so much love and passion towards him, with millions of people around the world wanting to be with a prince. How can he be trapped in a family where he literally is part of the institution too, if you think about it?
Well, let me answer that for you. He is trapped because, and I feel like that's the thing that people don't really understand about celebrities. And I think this is the reason why Hollywood has like one of the biggest mental health crises. I mean, look at people like Justin Bieber, right? He's in a much better place now, and I hope he continues being better. But there was a great deal of time where, you know, even his manager, Scooter Braun, said, oh, like, I didn't think this kid was going to survive. Like, I didn't think he'd be alive. Like, it's a miracle that Justin Bieber is alive, you know? And that just goes to show that, yeah, I feel like I agree with you, what you're saying. Like, us being normal people looking at a prince and being like, you're trapped? What are you trapped about? But the thing is, he never got to be a normal kid. He was born, and that's the thing about the royal family. You're not born to be a person. You're just born to fulfill your role, right? Like, this kid was born. He didn't get to do normal things like you and I did. He didn't know how to learn how to ride a bike. He didn't, you know, run behind the ice cream truck. He didn't, you know, walk home from school. He didn't get bullied, I hope. I mean, those are all, some of those things are not the best, but they're all part of an experience. Right? And he even said that, you know, he was like, how I was with Archie and he took Archie on a bike or something. And he was like, those are all things I never got to do. And it's like, he never got to be a kid. He never got to be a teenager. He just had to be, and they have to be perfect at all times because they're literally in the media 24/7 from such a young age. And that's the thing. Like, that's why he was trapped, because he didn't even know that there's a world outside of all of that. And when he saw that world, thanks to Meghan, he was like, oh my God, let me get everybody out of here.
I'm still glad he did that. Like, I'm glad that he put his family first over the royals. But it's like you did say, I guess as someone who's been living a normal life, it's like, as you mentioned, we don't really see how trapped they can be. But real story is, like, even back in the old days, so many people would be trapped in getting married at such a young age and having to raise a family as a child too. Literally, like, not even a full grown woman or full grown man. You would have to raise a child at that point. So it's like, you are right on that aspect that, like, he didn't have the same experiences as us, but in a way, he did get the privilege to go to a really good school. He did get the opportunity to do things that we could never do. And he did decide not to go to school afterwards. He went to the army, yes, but I believe that must have been his choice, because William, on the other hand, he did go to university, even though it was for geography, but he did graduate with a degree. So Harry did have his choice, I believe, in this aspect, that he chose not to go back to school and he went into the military because that that is something that all royals do. I mean, Queen Elizabeth was in the military too.
You have to serve the military. Yep.
Exactly. So in that sense, that part obviously wasn't really his choice. I mean, it could have been. For all we know, he loves the army and it was something that he wanted to do. So I'm not going to say it wasn't his choice, or it was, because it could have been. But the fact that him being trapped, in a way, it really did take him a while to realize. And I'm going to bring astrology into this, just so you know, because his birthday is a day after mine, just so you know, September 15th. And I'm 14. So I feel like I can relate to him a little bit in the sense, with the fact that like, you don't know much until you experience it afterwards. And that's how I have been most of my life. I didn't know a lot about a lot of things.